Perry Heals, written and illustrated by Susie Chase Motzkin. Copyright 2015. Perry Heals is the second story in the collection Our Life Skills: Awareness Through a Child's Perspective. Copyright 2020. None of the advice in this story is to replace that of a physician's. Please always consult a doctor regarding any physical issues. When Perry was a very little boy, his mother had great difficulty giving him medicine. It was especially tough when he was sick with a fever. She would spend the night trying to keep him cool with damp washcloths and tepid baths. Perry's mother described her concerns to the doctor, and he prescribed medicines that Perry did not have to take by mouth. Perry was too little to be bothered by the method in which he was to receive the medicine. Luckily, Perry did not get sick often. When Perry was in the second grade, he went to his friend's birthday party over the weekend. On Monday, his friend was not at school. A message was left at his home. His friend had come down with a fever and flu-like symptoms. Sure enough, by the time Perry stepped off the bus, he was feeling rotten. Perry could not eat his dinner and went to bed with a headache and fever. He swallowed some medicine, but within moments he felt sick to his stomach and made it to the bathroom just in time. It was risky to give Perry another pill, so Perry's mom tried something new before calling the doctor. First, she touched the arches of his feet for a few moments, and then swept her hands along the length of his feet. She moved to his head, and while placing one hand at the base of it and the other hand on his forehead, she softly asked him to close his eyes. She continued, "Perry, sweetie, take some deep breaths and imagine a sparkly whitish blue light entering through the top of your head. Imagine it washing all that angry red fever out through the bottoms of your feet where I touched you before. The sparkly light will cool your fever." Perry did as he was instructed and soon drifted off to sleep. His mother checked on him a couple of times through the night. He was slightly warm, but he was sleeping peacefully. She did not wake him for school in the morning. When Perry finally awoke, he was ready to eat. Full of eggs and toast, Perry and his mother sat on the front steps of their house in the early afternoon sun. As he laid his head upon her lap, she brushed his hair to the side and said, "I'm really glad you're feeling better." He looked up and replied, "Mommy, are we the only ones that make pictures in our mind to get better?" "No, honey. Using the mind to heal the body has been around for a long time." She smiled and bent to kiss his forehead. From time to time, someone would inadvertently bang their toe when rushing around in the house without shoes. Every time someone would yell in pain from stubbing a toe, Perry's mother would holler out, "Focus on the pain. Find the center of the pain. In the center, you will find the calm eye of the storm." Perry tried it once when he had hit his toe on the chair in his room, and the pain nearly stopped. Perry asked his mother how it worked. "I do not know. An osteopath told me to do it once when he was working on my hurt back. It worked then. So I tried it the last time I stubbed my toe, and it worked that time too. It must be a mind-body thing, bringing attention to the place that hurts to help it to heal." In the 5th grade, Perry fell and broke his arm while playing indoor soccer. It was horrible timing. In just 3 weeks, the family was going to the mountains for a ski trip. The doctor showed him the x-rays and told him he was going to be in a cast for at least 3 weeks. Then he told Perry he might also need some physical therapy after removing his cast. Perry was devastated. He was looking forward to the ski trip for months. On the way home from the doctor's office, Perry whined to his father about having to miss the ski trip because of his accident. His father suggested he should try picturing his arm healing more quickly. He should focus on it, as he did when he stubbed his toe. Maybe you should try picturing the bone growing back together, his father said optimistically. Perry closed his eyes, and he could feel the pain in his arm. It throbbed and stung. He could almost pinpoint the exact location of the fracture because of the pain. When they got home, they turned on the computer and looked up images of healthy arm bones and cellular actions of bone healing. Before Perry fell asleep, he closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He imagined a sparkly light coming through the top of his head, washing away all the darkness through his feet. He then brought all of his attention to the place in his arm that hurt. He pictured the bones as they should be, just like the pictures he and his father looked up. Then Perry imagined cells dividing inside the bone to fill in the crack. He pictured the cells dividing and stacking together, layer by layer. He did this every night before he would fall asleep. The imaginary process he began continued in his mind and body while he was sleeping. By the end of the week, the pain in his arm was nearly gone. This, however, did not stop Perry from his nightly imagery. His parents continued to encourage him. Miracles happen every day, his father would say. They all believed Perry's attention and focus on his healing must have surely been doing something. His pain was barely there. Perry told his mother and father that he wanted to be able to go skiing more than anything. Instead of answering him in words, his mother lovingly held behind his elbow with one hand and cradled his wrist with the other. After a few moments, she said, "Close your eyes and feel the connection between my hands." "That feels hot," Perry exclaimed. She smiled and swept her hand along the arm as Perry dreamily closed his eyes. After 2.5 weeks, Perry went back to the doctor. He enthusiastically told the doctor his arm felt much better. The doctor expected that Perry's arm would have gotten skinny because the lack of use would shrink the muscles. Instead, the doctor marveled at the robust look of the arm. Perry's mother told the doctor of Perry's nightly imagery. She asked if another x-ray could be taken. They wanted to see if the bone had healed enough for him to be able to ski. The doctor raised his eyebrows very suspiciously at Perry's mother. He smiled and agreed to do so. A short while after getting the x-ray, the doctor entered the room. Shrugging his shoulders and shaking his head, he said, "Well, my boy, you have some remarkable powers. It seems the bone has completely healed. You should be okay to ski, but we're going to keep you in a soft cast until you return. I want you to know that I am only agreeing to this because you are such a good skier." Perry looked at his smiling mother triumphantly. The doctor shook his head again and said, "I guess your desire to heal sped up the process. Now avoid doing anything crazy on the slopes, and I'll see you when you return." Perry promised he would be careful. He left the doctor's office that afternoon, feeling anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Though he was just an ordinary boy, awareness, concentration, and believing in himself helped Perry to heal quickly. When Perry was a teenager, he and his best friend Owen were in the woods moving big rocks. Owen was feeling strong and lifted the fat end of a big wedge-shaped rock. He did indeed lift the rock, but its weight propelled the huge rock back onto Owen's finger. Emergency calls were made, and Owen was rushed to the hospital. They had his missing fingertip on ice. The doctor told him it could not be reattached. He was going to, plain and simple, have a shorter finger without a fingernail. The doctor gave Owen medicine and wrapped his hand in gauze. Perry was in the waiting room when Owen and his father entered from the emergency room. On the way home, Owen shared what the doctor had said to him. Perry questioned, "How can they be so sure it won't grow back? Starfish and newts can grow their parts back. Why can't you?" "Well, I guess I could try. What do I have to lose from trying?" replied Owen painfully. "Be the starfish, Owen," Perry said as he hovered his hands over his friend's bandaged one. "Be the starfish," Perry repeated as he closed his eyes and meditated on the thought of Owen's fingertip growing back with its nail. He pictured a web of energy in the shape of a fingertip to which cells would divide and connect. After a bit, Owen looked oddly at Perry. "You are creeping me out, Perry." "You're welcome," Perry said, smiling, as he opened his eyes and removed his hands. The next day, Perry stopped by Owen's house. He brought some gifts to help Owen feel better. "I brought these cookies from my mom, an anatomy book, and," as Perry dragged out the word "and," he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small plastic starfish. He handed it to Owen, who smiled as he took the little toy. Perry began, "You know how quickly I healed my arm in grade school?" Owen mumbled "yes" as he examined the starfish. Perry continued excitedly, "Well, I did it with imagery and attention to what I was feeling. Anybody can do it. I know you can do it too. Let's show the doctor you can grow your finger back." Owen agreed and listened carefully to what Perry said. Perry explained all about calming the mind by taking deep breaths. He told Owen to use the pain in his finger as an area on which to focus his mind. He should imagine a white, calm light in the center of his pain. Perry repeated his mother's words, like the very calm eye of a big storm of pain. He opened the anatomy book to the pages he had marked. There were pictures of the hand from the bones to the skin. They showed each layer of tissue in great detail, including the spongy inside of the bone with its blood supply. It seemed everything was pictured, even the different cells and nerve endings. Perry instructed Owen as he pointed to the pictures. "Study these pictures right before you fall asleep. Do the deep, calm breathing and then bring all of your attention to the pain spot. Imagine these healthy pictures of bones and tissues. Grow that finger back, cell by cell." Perry said a quick goodbye and left the book with his friend. Owen was sleepy, but looked at the anatomy pictures with great interest. Owen took his friend's advice and imagined these things every night before he fell asleep. Perry told him that his subconscious mind, the one that keeps working while you're sleeping, would continue the healing through the night. The doctors were amazed by how quickly Owen's finger healed. The fingertip grew back and even had its nail. He was soon able to play his trombone in the marching band. Owen's finger was nearly normal. Even an ordinary person could pay attention to the hurt parts and help heal the body. Owen and Perry told this story to their friends and many people they had met over the years. People liked the idea that they too could do something more to help themselves heal. Perry and Owen understood the benefits of what their focused mind could do, but they also knew how important it was to work with the doctors in their healing. The medicines and surgeries, after all, were developed to help. They knew that using the mind was something anyone could do to complement medical help. When Perry told his healing stories to a friend who had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, he made sure to support what her doctors were doing. He found good anatomy pictures for his friend and began to coach her. He suggested she imagine the tumor shrinking and the white blood cells, macrophages, acting like little vacuum cleaners, sucking up the bad cells. To help get every diseased cell, he recommended that she practice the imagery while receiving her radiation treatments. Though Perry had thought of it before, it was then he decided he wanted to become a doctor and help people with imagery and medicine.